I thought the garden was beautiful the first time I saw it. I know, it sounds insane, but it really was beautiful. I'd been riding in my bed with a high fever for 3 days. I'd been seeing hallucinations, or at least I thought they were hallucinations. Green clouds, smiling faces beneath my body, screaming mouths growing from my skin. Then I woke up, or I thought I woke up. The walls of my hab unit were gone. In their place, there was growth, something alive, pulsing, breathing. The walls were covered with organic matter, green, brown, black, purple, colors coming together in shades I'd never seen before. Mold flowers and mushrooms were bursting from the metal panels. And the smell, oh, the smell. Decay, yes, but also life, the birth of something new, the rich, earthy aroma of a garden. I got out of bed. The floor beneath my feet was soft, warm, alive. It made sounds with each step, pleased, squelching sounds, as if it was pleased to feel me. And in that moment, my fever was gone. The pain had stopped. For the first time in weeks, I felt comfortable. But I need to start from the beginning. I need to tell you how I got here. Because this story didn't start here. It started much earlier, with something much more innocent. With a cough. My name is Matthias Kole, or it was. Names don't matter much anymore. But back then they did. I was a manufacturing worker in Sector Gamma 7. Grinder operator, wheat processing, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, for 23 years. A monotonous life. But it was my life. I had a wife, Ilera, 2 children, Tomos and Jennifer. A small hab unit, enough food, clean water. By Imperial standards, I was lucky. The cough started 3 weeks ago. The manufactorum was dusty. It always was. Wheat flour, metal dust, remnants of recycled air, all combining to make the air thick and suffocating. Most workers coughed. It was normal, part of life. So when I first coughed, I didn't worry. It was just a cough, a slight tickle in my throat. That's all. But it continued. 1 day. 2 days, a week, 2 weeks. Ilera noticed. You should go to the medici, she said one evening at dinner. This cough isn't normal. It's from the manufactorum dust, I said. It'll pass. But it didn't pass. It got worse. The coughs became deeper, more violent. They'd wake me at night, coughing until I couldn't breathe. I found strange stains on my pillow, greenish, sometimes brownish.
There was a metallic taste in my mouth that wouldn't go away with anything. The second week, I saw the first spots on my skin. I discovered them in the shower. On my left arm, a bit above the elbow, a small, round spot, greenish-brown, like a bruise but different, more organic, more alive. The next morning, there were 3 more. 3 days later,
10. By the end of the week, I'd stopped counting. When Ilera saw them, her face went pale. Matthias, she whispered, this isn't normal. You need to go to the medici. Now. I didn't go. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid, or in denial, or maybe I just wanted to keep going to work, act normal, as if everything was fine. But everything wasn't fine. The 3rd week, everything changed.
I was in the middle of my shift. The noise of the grinder machines was deafening, the vibration felt in my bones. I was lost in my routine, the same movements, the same checks, the same adjustments I'd made 1,000 times. Then my head spun. 1 second it was light dizziness. The next second, the floor seemed to be rising toward me. I grabbed onto the machine, trying to find my balance. Kole.
The foreman's voice came from far away. You okay? I tried to say I was fine, but the words didn't come out. Instead, I coughed, and the cough didn't stop. I fell to my knees, my chest contracting, my lungs feeling like they were on fire. I coughed and coughed, each contraction harder than the last. Tears in my eyes, the taste of blood in my mouth. Then between the coughs, something came up, something heavy, wet, something with a metallic taste. I held the floor with my hands, waiting for the cough to pass. When I opened my eyes, I saw a pool of blood below. But it wasn't just blood. There were things in it. Small, dark pieces. Things mixed with clotted blood. God, someone muttered. They couldn't say more. But I knew what they meant. They saw. They all saw. Something had come out of me. Not bloody phlegm. Something else. The foreman commanded, call the medici. Now. And initiate quarantine protocol. Quarantine. The word froze me like ice. Quarantine meant only one thing in the hive. Contagious disease, danger, and usually, death. 2 figures in hazmat suits came within minutes. They lifted me, gently but firmly. The other workers backed away, watching me with fear in their eyes. "Please," I begged, my voice raspy. "My wife, my children, tell them that." "Be quiet," said one of the figures, voice coming from behind the mask. "Conserve your energy." They carried me to an isolation room. Small, white, sterile. A cot, a sink, a metal basin. Nothing else. The door closed behind me, with the sound of a lock. I was alone. The first day was the worst. The fever came back, harder than before, my body shaking, soaked in sweat. The cough returned every few minutes, each time bringing up more blood and other things. But worst was the spreading of the spots on my skin. They seemed to grow by the hour. My arms, my chest, climbing up my neck. The colors deepened, green, brown, almost black in some places. And the itching. Oh God, the itching, under my skin, as if something was moving, pushing toward the surface, struggling. I scratched with my nails until blood came, but it didn't help. It only got worse. The second day, the voices started, whispers, coming from beyond the walls of the isolation room. I couldn't make out words, but the tone was inviting, comforting, as if someone was telling me everything would be okay. Hallucinations, I muttered to myself. Just the fever, not real, but it felt so real. The third day, I saw the first group. On my left shoulder, where the spots were most concentrated, a small protrusion, pushing from under my skin. I touched it, hard, but also somewhat soft, organic. Was it a mushroom? A tumor? Something else? I didn't know. And in that moment, I was afraid I didn't care. Because the growth didn't hurt. On the contrary, it was relieving. As if a pressure was being released, an itch being scratched. I pressed my finger on it. It indented slightly. The tissue under my skin was soft, spongy. And when I pressed, a small liquid seeped out, light green, almost glowing. I should have been disgusted, I know. But I was curious. I touched my finger to it, brought it to my nose. The smell wasn't what I expected. Decay, yes, but also sweet, earthy, like a forest after rain. Surprisingly pleasant. And in that moment, something clicked in me. Something deep, subconscious. As if my body recognized something my mind hadn't yet understood. This wasn't just a disease. This was a transformation. The fourth day, a visitor came. The door opened, for the first time in days, and a figure in a heavy hazmat suit entered. In their hand, a data slate and Auspex scanner. "Your name is Matthias Kole," they said, voice heavily vocoded. "Manufacturum worker, 23 years of service. Married, 2 children." I nodded, too weak to speak. "I've examined your symptoms," they continued. "Necrotic spotting on the skin, pulmonary degradation, abnormal growths, hallucinations." They paused, and in the blood samples, abnormalities, things that are biologically impossible. They looked at me, even through the mask. I could feel the coldness in their eyes. "I know the diagnosis," I said, or thought I said. My voice was barely more than a whisper. "Yes," they said, "you know. The whole hive knows, but we never say it out loud, because saying it makes it real." "How much time do I have?" I asked. A long silence. Then, days, maybe a week. "Your immune system is collapsing. Your internal organs are failing. The infection is spreading. My wife, in quarantine," they said. "Your children too. They haven't shown symptoms yet, but we're watching." They paused. "You're not lucky, Kole." "I'm sorry." Lucky. Funny word, but I understood what they meant. If my wife and children were clean, I was just the first case. I could be isolated, controlled, destroyed. "When?" I asked. "Soon," they said. "Protocol is clear. Once sufficient degradation occurs, termination is permitted. Mercy for both the patient and society." Mercy. Another funny word, but I had no strength to protest. The figure turned to leave, then stopped. "One more thing," they said. "Are you having dreams?" I hesitated, then nodded. "What dreams?" "A garden," I whispered, "green and full of life. And people, happy people, laughing. And a voice, telling me welcome home." The figure didn't move. Then, quietly, "Grandfather is coming for you, Kole. And nothing can stop him." Then they left. The door locked behind them, and I was alone. With my dreams, with my growths, and with the slowly growing certainty that nothing could save me anymore. The fifth day, everything changed. The fever peaked, 41 degrees, 42, beyond the point where the thermometer stopped reading. My body was burning with fire, losing fluids rapidly. Every breath hurt. I was dying. I knew it. I could feel it. But then, the voices came back, louder this time, clearer. I could make out words. "Come," they said. "Come to us. The pain will end. Just come." "Who are you?" I asked, my voice cracked and mad. "Your family," came the answer. "Your brothers. The garden is waiting for you." Garden. The word fell from my lips. Why did it sound so familiar? Why did it feel so right? Yes. Grandfather's garden. Where there is no pain. Where decay is only the beginning of new life. Where everything grows and changes and passes and comes back. Nurgle, I whispered. The chaos god. God, the voice laughed, and the laughter was surprisingly warm and loving. Yes, some call him that, but he's just grandfather, and he loves all his children, even the sick, the dying, especially them. I closed my eyes, exhausted, delirious, dying. "Let go," the voice whispered. "Just surrender. The pain will stop. The fear will stop. There will only be the garden." And in that moment, something broke inside me. The resistance, the fear. Years of Imperial propaganda telling me that chaos was evil, that all warp entities were lies. All of it vanished because I wasn't suffering. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't alone. The voice was still there, waiting, comforting, and I was too tired to fight. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay, I'm coming." In that instant, everything changed. The fever disappeared. In an instant. 1 second, I was burning. The next, comfortable. The pain stopped. The tightness in my chest, the itching under my skin, the ache in my bones, all gone. I opened my eyes, and I saw my hab unit differently. The walls were gone, or if they were there, I couldn't see them. I could only see growth. Thick, green, winding, covering the walls, the ceiling, the floor, everywhere. Mold and mushroom flowers were exploding from the metal panels, bright green, deep purple, rich brown. Vines were reaching out, thick and vital, wrapping and squeezing objects. Moss was covering the carpet, soft and wet. And the smell, oh, the smell. Decay, yes. The heavy, thick smell of death, but also life, growth, birth and rain and new things being born. The smell of a garden. I got out of bed. My body felt so light, stronger than it had been in weeks. I stood up without swaying. I walked without stumbling. The floor beneath my feet was soft, alive. With each step it indented slightly, then returned. And the sound, oh, the sound. Squelching, muddy, pleased sound, as if the floor was enjoying feeling me. I walked to the door of the room. There was no door anymore, just an opening, framed with a curtain of vines and mold. I passed through, and I saw the corridor, transformed, completely. What had once been sterile metal corridors was now a living tunnel. The walls were covered, the ceiling drooping, the floor was like a swamp, thick and wet and decomposing. But it was beautiful. God help me, it was beautiful. The colors, so rich, so vibrant. The textures, so intricate, so varied. Every surface was covered with life, growing, changing, dying, and being reborn. And the people, oh God, the people, my neighbors, my friends, people I'd known for years. They were walking in the corridor, but they had changed. Some had green and blistered skin. Others had mushrooms growing from their shoulders or heads. One person's arms weren't really arms anymore. Something like vines, thick and soft and moving on their own. But they were smiling. All of them were smiling, and they were laughing. Real, joyful laughter. The best sound I'd heard. Someone noticed me. An old woman, Mrs. Thrace, who lived one floor up. Her face was almost unrecognizable with spots, but her eyes sparkled with joy. "Matthias," she cried, arms open. "You joined us. Oh, how wonderful." She hugged me. Her skin was wet and soft against mine, but it was warm, real. I tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. "Shoo," she said, rocking me. "I know. You're afraid, confused. It's normal, but we'll take care of you. We're all family here. Grandfather's children." Grandfather. The word felt strange on my tongue. Foreign, but also right. "Yes," she said, her smile widening. Her teeth were different, greenish, but still human, still real. Nurgle, some call him the Plague Lord. Rot father, but to us, just grandfather. And he loves us, all of us. She pulled me back, examining my face. "You're starting to change," she said. "Beautiful. The spots are spreading. The growths are beginning. Soon you'll fully bloom." Bloom. The word felt strangely appropriate. Yes, just like we bloom every spring. We shed the old form, take on the new. This is grandfather's gift. Constant change, constant growth. Never stagnant, never dead. Always living, always evolving. She pulled me down the corridor. "Come," she said. "I should show you the central square, where the garden is strongest, where grandfather's presence is most strongly felt." I let her guide me, because I didn't know what to do, didn't know what to feel. Should I feel fear, disgust, horror? But I didn't feel those. Just curiosity. And strangely, peace. The central square had once been a meeting place, where residents would gather for news, announcements, sometimes entertainment. A large, open area, high ceiling, metal walls. Now it was like a cathedral, a living cathedral. The floor was completely covered with something, a thick, moss-like substance, soft as a sponge underfoot. From the walls grew trees, or tree-like things, trunks thick and twisted, bark green and blistered, leaves broad and drooping. And from the ceiling hung things, lines, roots, and other things. Large, swollen things like fruit, but they were moving, pulsing, breathing. In the center of the square, there was a structure, made of wood, woven with vines and mold, like a throne or altar. And on it sat someone, or what I thought was sitting. It was shaped but indistinct, human-like but beyond, green and swollen and covered with things, mushrooms, insects, things I knew and didn't know. But the face was clear, and it was smiling, a wide, happy smile. "Welcome, child," said a voice, deep and rumbling and surprisingly loving. "I've been waiting so long for you." I froze. Was this a human? A demon? Something else? "Fear," the voice continued. "Good. Fear is the first step, but it will pass. Everything passes. Everything changes. This is grandfather's way. You." My voice came out as a whisper. "You." Yes, the voice laughed. "Me, or I am a part of him. Grandfather is everywhere, in everything that decays, in everything living, growing. I am just a vessel, a messenger, carrying the message." "What message?" "Simple," it said. "Death is not the end. Decay is not the end. Just transformation. The end is the beginning. The finish is the new start. Everything is a cycle. Everything changes, and grandfather loves it all." It paused, tilting its head to one side. "Look at you," it said. "You're starting to change. The spots are spreading. The growths are emerging. Soon you'll fully bloom, and you'll be happy. Oh, how happy you'll be." But my family," I pleaded. "My wife, my children, they're clean." "They, clean." The voice laughed, but not cruelly, just amused. "Oh child, nothing is clean. Everything already belongs to grandfather. They just haven't realized it yet. But in time they'll understand. They'll all understand." I stepped back. My legs were shaking. "No," I said. "No, they're innocent. Clean. I may be sick, but sick." The voice cut off, its head throwing back in laughter. The vines around the throne trembled, as if joining in the laughter. "Oh child, how you misunderstand." It leaned forward, eyes, those strange, greenish eyes, locking onto mine. "You're not sick. You never were. You're awakening." "Awakening?" I repeated the word, confused. "Yes, the Imperium lied to you. They told you decay is bad. Disease is the enemy. Death is something to fear. But these are lies. All lies." It stood up, or rose, because I couldn't see its legs moving. It just floated upward, its body stretching toward the vines hanging from the ceiling. "Decay," it said, its voice now seeming to come from everywhere, "is just transformation. One thing dies, another is born. A tree falls, hundreds of mushrooms rise. A piece of meat rots, thousands of insects feed. Nothing is lost. Everything changes." It came toward me, slowly, non-threateningly. "And you, Matthias Kole, are changing. You will shed your old form. You will take on a new form. Stronger, more resilient, more living. But the pain," my voice cracked. "The pain, it's gone, isn't it?" It tilted its head. The fever disappeared. The cough stopped. "For the first time in weeks you feel comfortable." It was true. "God help me, it was true. Because you're not fighting anymore," it said softly. "You surrendered. And grandfather accepted you. Now you just need to let yourself grow." Mrs. Trace's hand was still on my shoulder. Warm. Comforting. "Don't be afraid," she whispered. "Everyone is afraid at first. But it will pass. You'll see." I looked around the square. At the people there. All of them had changed. All of them were different. But all of them were smiling, laughing, talking with each other, sharing, touching. There was joy here. Real, pure joy. When was the last time I'd seen anyone this happy in the underhive? "Would you like to see your family?" asked the voice from the throne. My head turned suddenly. Are they here?" "Not yet," it said. "But soon. Very soon. The garden is growing. Every hour, every minute it's spreading. And soon it will cover the entire block. Then the sector. Then the entire hive. And will they change? Like me? Yes. But better, because you will show them the way. You will be their guide. The first bloom. The first bloom." The words stirred a strange pride in me. As if it were an honor. "But first," the voice continued, "you must fully transform. There's still too much of the old you left. Too much fear. Too much doubt. You must let go." "How?" "Simple." An arm extended from the throne, thick, green, a mixture of vine and flesh. "You can touch and receive grandfather's gift fully." I looked at it, at that arm, at that thing. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to pull back, to call for help. But another part, a growing, strengthening part, wanted this, wanted to touch, because that part knew the truth. The Imperium had abandoned me. The manufactorum had consumed me. The Medici had left me to die. But the garden wanted me, accepted me. I reached out my hand. My fingertips touched the arm. And the world opened. It wasn't a vision. Vision is too weak a word. This was a revelation. I saw everything. I saw the hive from above. Millions of hab units, stacked on top of each other, stretching to the horizon. Millions of people, living in small boxers, breathing toxic air, eating synthetic food. Never seeing the sun. Never seeing greenery. Just assisting. And beyond them, on the upper levels, I saw the rich. The administrators. The administratum. The people who ran the hive, but didn't actually care. To them, we were just numbers. Data points. Expanded resources. And higher up, in space, I saw the ships. The warships, carrying thousands, millions of people. Going to wars. Meaningless, endless wars. Most wouldn't return. The Imperium was consuming humanity. Like a machine, eating flesh and blood, producing war and production. But the garden was feeding. I saw it, green, alive, growing, spreading through the depths of the hive, expanding every hour, every person it touched changing, those in pain finding relief, those dying finding renewal. It wasn't perfect, no. There were ugly things, decay, degradation, death. But from that death, new life was born. Mushrooms grew from rotting flesh. Vines wrapped around dead bone. Nothing was wasted. Everything was transformed. And the people, oh, the people. I saw them. The transformed ones. Some unrecognizable. Some still human, but more. Stronger. More resilient. And possessing something always missing from the underhive. Happiness. "Do you understand now?" The voice whispered in my ear. "Do you understand why grandfather loves you?" "Yes," I whispered, tears in my eyes. "Yes, I understand. The Imperium gave you survival. But grandfather gives you life." The arm withdrew from my hand. The vision faded. I returned to the square, but now it looked different. More vibrant. More real. Because now I was seeing the truth. The change accelerated after that moment. The spots on my skin spread, from my arms to my chest, my neck, my face. The colors deepened. The textures thickened. And the growths, oh, the growths. Small mushrooms emerged from my arms. At first tiny, but they grew. The mushroom caps expanded, the stems thickened. I touched them with my hand. They were soft, warm. And when I touched them, I felt a slight pleasure. Vines emerged from my chest. Thin, green, living vines. They moved on their own, winding around each other, wrapping together. As if they were small animals. Curious, playful. Roots descended from my legs. They entered the ground. I was connected, literally connected to the garden. And with it, to everyone. Because the roots weren't just connecting me to the earth. They were connecting me to them. To everyone in the garden. I could feel them, not their thoughts, that would be too invasive. But their emotions, their peace, their joy, their acceptance. And they could feel me too. We weren't alone. We would never be alone. Beautiful, said Mrs. Thrace, tears in her eyes. Oh, Matthias, how beautiful you are. I looked at my hands. They weren't really hands anymore. The fingers had thickened, merged, green and brown. The nails were more like claws, but they worked. Even better. What would I see if I saw my reflection in a mirror? A terrible monster. Or something else. Would you like to see? Asked the voice from the throne. I nodded. Something appeared, a large, flat surface, like a mirror but alive. Pulsing, breathing, like water but thicker. I looked into it, and I saw myself. My face had changed, but I still recognized myself. The eyes were still mine, brown, penetrating. But the whites were greenish, and the pupils were larger. The skin was green and blistered. Small mushrooms were growing from my forehead. My cheeks were full, swollen. My mouth seemed wider. The teeth were still there, but the color had changed. Was I terrible? Yes. By old standards, definitely. But also, somehow, I was beautiful, because I was alive. Really alive. For the first time in years. Every mushroom on my skin, every vine, every spot, all of it was life. Growing, changing, evolving. I was no longer just Matthias Kole, manufactorum worker, wheat processor. I was more beautiful, isn't it? The voice whispered. Grandfather's gift, to see yourself, to really see, not just what you're not but what you can be. Yes, I whispered. Beautiful. I turned from the mirror. I looked at the square, at the people, at the garden. I was no longer a prisoner. I was no longer sick. I was home. Days passed, or weeks. Time became a strange thing in the garden. Sometimes it felt like it was flowing fast, sometimes like it was stopping. But one thing was constant: growth. The garden was spreading. Every hour, every minute, from hab unit to hab unit, corridor to corridor, up, down, sideways. And people were coming. At first hesitant, in fear, but then they accepted, they surrendered, because most were sick people, or injured, or just tired of the pain of life. And the garden offered them relief. I watched them all, their transformations, like Ilara. Oh, Ilara. She came one day, in a hazmat suit, escorted. They said she'd come to find me, had requested to see me. They brought her to the square, her mask still on, but her trembling was visible. The fear was clear. Matthias, her voice was hoarse. Yes. I stepped forward, trying not to frighten her. It's me. She stopped, looked at me. Even from behind that mask, I could feel the horror in her eyes. God, she whispered. You. I know, I said gently. I'm different, but I'm still me. Still Matthias. No. She shook her head, backing away. No, you're a monster. A mutant. Illyra. I said it firmly. She stopped. Look at me. Really look. Hesitantly, she raised her eyes. Do I have a fever? I asked. Am I in pain? Am I dying? She was silent. I'm not, I continued. For the first time in years. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I'm living. But chaos, she said, her voice shaking. Nurgle. He's evil. Damnation. Heresy. These are words, I said. The Imperium's words. But do they know the truth? Do they care about you? She stopped. Look around you, I said, spreading my arms. Look at these people. Do they look happy? She slowly turned around, looked at the people in the square, smiling, laughing, talking with each other. They. The words vanished. They're free, I said. Free from their pain. Free from their fears. Free from the Imperium's cruel demands. And you can be free too. No. She shook her head. No, the children. Tomos and Jennifer. They're clean. They can come too, I said softly. All together. A family. A real family. No longer separate. No longer fractured. United. I looked at her mask, at the eyes behind it, and I saw the conflict, the fear, but also the curiosity, the hope. You can touch, I said, extending my hand. Just once. Just feel. And then you can decide. A long, long silence. Then, slowly, she reached out. Her fingers touched mine. And she felt. Ilera joined us 3 days later. Tomos and Jennifer a week after that. All of them transformed. All of them bloomed. All of them became part of the garden. And for the first time in years, we were a real family. We were no longer in separate hab units. We were no longer separated by shifts. We were no longer tired, stressed, silent. We were together, constantly. And we were happy. Tomos loved the mushrooms. He would collect them, talk to them. They would answer him, slowly, in a friendly way. He would laugh, real, joyful laughter. Jennifer loved the vines. She would weave them into her hair, as big wreaths. It made her feel beautiful, really beautiful. And Ilera finally found peace. The worry, fear, stress she'd carried for years, all of it vanished. Only joy remained. One evening, or day, it was hard to tell, she came to me. Her face was now green and blistered, small flowers growing from her forehead. But her eyes were still her eyes. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For showing the way. For bringing us here. For showing us the truth. I held her hand. The skin was warm and soft. I just shared what I saw, I said. No. She shook her head. You were brave. I was afraid. But you walked forward. And we followed. She hugged me. Bodies merged, vine to vine, mushroom to mushroom, root to root. United. Complete. I love you, she whispered. I love you too, I said back. And for the first time in years, I really knew what it meant. Now I'm here. In the heart of the garden. With my family. With my brothers. With grandfather's children. Outside, on the upper levels, they're still fighting. They still think we're a disease. Something terrible. Something that must be stopped. But they don't understand. We're not a disease. We're the cure. The Imperium made humanity sick. Put them in small boxers. Stole everything from them. And then waited for them to die. But Grandfather is healing them. Giving them real life. Real purpose. Real family. One day, the entire hive will transform. Then the planet. Then the stars. Because the garden is patient. It doesn't rush. It just grows. And every day, more people come. More understand. More surrender. Because everyone knows deep down, the Imperium consumes them, but the garden feeds them. And eventually, everyone comes home. I close my eyes. I feel the earth beneath my feet. I feel the vines wrapping. I feel the mushrooms growing. And I feel Grandfather. Everywhere. In everything. He whispers to me. Sweet, soft whispers. Good work, child. Good work. I smile. Because finally, I'm home.